Hello, welcome to this part of the video series on my building a new live set in Ableton Live. This is going to be the last kind of part in terms of going through the live set. I'm going to do another part after this, which will be a full. I'll do like a performance of how I use everything and put it all together, hopefully. And then if I change stuff in time, I will do some follow-up videos, and there's one coming up on how I'm kind of doing the same kind of thing but with the Deluge, so watch out for that if you're a Deluge user. Got a few ideas of how I'm going to do that. So what I'm going to do in this episode is go through kind of the hardware I've got that I would take out with me to play live, how it's all connected, and also how I'm using my iPad as a MIDI controller. Apologies, I'm not looking at the camera, but whatever, it doesn't matter, does it? Let's just go through the connections first of all. So let's just switch over to that camera. Let's bring my mic over. So yeah, this is the hardware. This is kind of like my setup that I would take out. So it's really just a case of I need a table or something when I go to play somewhere. So we've got the iPad, which is I'm going to cover later, which is kind of like my MIDI controller that controls everything. We've got the Roland TB03, we've got the Roland TR6S, we've got the MX1, we've got the Yamaha, which is called a DTX Multi-12 for the drum pads, and then we've got a Minilog. So that is it in terms of hardware. Connections wise, sort of like the MX1 is kind of like the brain of everything, because that's the, obviously I would need a laptop as well, but when I'm performing like this, I don't need to have the laptop, I don't need to look at the laptop at all, so that's usually off to the side somewhere, because I don't like looking at a laptop screen when I'm playing live. So the MX1 is, like I say, sort of the centre of everything. So in terms of kind of like the main stereo output, that would go out to the PA. And then connections wise, for the TB03, I'm going into USB 3 on the MX1. So that's giving me MIDI and audio and power, because that one's got power on it. So I don't need to plug anything else into there. So when I'm sending MIDI from Ableton, it's just going over USB through the MX1 out into here. I've then got a standard MIDI out cable, 5-pin MIDI cable going out on here to the in on the TR6S, and then I've got MIDI out from the drum pads going to MIDI in, again as a standard 5-pin MIDI cable, so MIDI out on there going to MIDI in on the MX1, and that's for when I play the samples that I've got in Ableton Live, but from here, which I covered in the last video. Then in terms of other kind of USB connections, I've got the Minilog is going into the laptop via USB. That's just for the program change messages that again I looked at in the previous episode. And then I've also got a USB connection going from the iPad also into the laptop for running this app, which I'm going to cover later on in this video. So in terms of audio, the TB03 is doing its audio over USB into the MX1. At the moment I've just got the left mono output of the TR6 going into channel 1 on the MX1. The Minilog is going into channel 2, and then channels 3, 4, 5 and 6 I've got mapped to the drum loops, again which I covered in the previous video. And that's it in terms of audio. So I've got USB 3 for the TB03 on here. The drum pads are basically just acting as MIDI controllers, and they're triggering the sounds that are within Ableton Live. And then I have the main output is the PC output here, which is everything from Ableton is going through that. So I've got the USB, or the ones I'm not using at the moment. I mean, I could map these to other stuff, which I may map these to other stuff in Ableton if necessary, some other drum loops, etc. And that's it. So it's fairly quick setup wise, few MIDI connections, set the laptop up, plug into the PA, and you're good to go. So that's it in terms of sort of hardware and connections. Let's have a look at the app that I'm using, which is called Touchable, and hopefully at the press of a button, we'll get this up on screen. So I had kind of toyed with the idea of taking Ableton Push Out with me, which is great, but I wanted volume faders and sliders, which we can see we've got down here. Okay, so I'm just, if we just go back to the screen, no, sorry. The screen, you can see as I'm just sort of touching these on here. You're not going to see it on the screen capture thing. So this gives me faders for everything, and I can just scroll around the set as I wish. So this is a great app, right? It's called Touchable, and it basically turns your iPad into an Ableton probably, to be honest, probably better than an Ableton Push, because it gives you sliders and faders and so on. We can have a split screen view as well. If I just get rid of where is it? It's that one. Okay, so I can have just all the clips here, and obviously we've got scene launchers down here. Okay, and everything else. But I have it set up on this like dual setup here. So I've got in the top half of the screen, I've got all my clips and scenes to launch, and then down here I've got faders. We've also got again, you're not going to see my kind of fingers moving around on the iPad screen, but below the faders, if we look at this one that's moving down at the bottom, we can mute a track. We've got the crossfader as well down at the bottom, which is brilliant, so I can use that from the iPad as well. And I mean, I'm barely sort of scratching the surface with what this can do. I mean, we've got pans, we've got your solos and mutes and ins and outs, but you can access as well, like push drum pad things, XY pads that you can automate to do stuff with, your loops and all your devices and everything. I mean, the app it's genius. It's not cheap, but it's great, and it basically means I don't have to take out a bulky MIDI controller. The only downside is it's a little bit hit and miss on the connections. You can do it over Wi-Fi or USB. I always generally, let's go back over to this camera. Let's go back around here. I usually do it, or always do it, over USB, because you're never sure what Wi-Fi situation is going to be like if you're going out playing somewhere. A lot of the time it works, a lot of the time it doesn't work. And it's a case of keep restarting Ableton Live, keep restarting the iPad, keep restarting the app, and then it gets it. And that bothers me from a playing live point of view, that I want to be able to turn up and know it's okay. So, yeah, that's something I'm still sort of working towards. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or if it's just glitches in the app, because it does take a bit of setting up. You've got to put like a server thing on your laptop. And then let's go over into live. I'll show you, because then it turns up as a MIDI thing. Yeah. So it's in this one. It's touchable, okay. And you need, I think, Loop B MIDI thing, internal MIDI thing, if you're on a PC as well. And then it shows up in here as a control surface thing. So, I mean, there are detailed instructions of setting it up on the website. I will put a link to the app in the description. Like I say, it's not the cheapest app in the world. I think I can't remember if it's about 30 odd quid or something like that. But when it works, it's absolutely brilliant, and it does the job fantastically. And if you've already got an iPad, it's a really cheap way of getting basically what Push does, but with lots of other stuff as well. So, it like I say, when it works, brilliant. But I do waste a lot of time getting it working, and they've not quite got the script right yet for Live 11, so I'm hoping that's going to be okay soon. So that's kind of pretty much the end of the series for now. Next video, I will record a performance of me doing the whole thing like this. And I've mentioned a few times, one of the things I've always tried to steer away from is playing with a laptop. And I've not been able to do that, doing the transitions I want, just using the Deluge, my lovely thing over here. But I think I've kind of found a way of doing it, and at the moment that's potentially my preferred way of going out and playing live, is to rely on the Deluge, because I find it's more reliable than taking out a PC, just because there's just so many different things that can go wrong with it. But we'll see, and we'll see how it goes. So I'm kind of working on this over the next few months, because obviously gigs aren't a thing at the moment, and I'll do a few like live stream performances probably from the studio as well, and see which is my preferred way of going. And I kind of want to have a few different setups. Something like this I would take out if I was doing probably a half-hour set or longer. If there's anything less than that, if you're playing like a little open mic somewhere, what I wanted is a stripped back setup that takes literally a few seconds to set up, and I'll probably go through. I might do another video actually on different setups. So this is like the full thing, and then there's other ones that I would use with the Deluge and so on. So it's a case of picking and choosing different setups depending on the circumstances that you're playing in. And I'm jabbering on and talking a load of rubbish now, so I'll cover that in future videos. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense in terms of the gear that I'm taking out and the connections. This itself is fairly portable. If you want to know what this stand is, it's just like a dual DJ stand. You can get stands that are designed to have a controller and a laptop on, and this works really nice for the drum pads on here and the mini lug up there, because normally I would stand and perform to play that, which you'll see in the next video when I actually record the performance. Okay, thanks for watching. Usual things, like, subscribe, click the bell button, share the videos round. Any questions in the box, you know the drill by now. And if you want to, if you're feeling generous, then support me on Patreon and you'll get free stuff. Okay, thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.